How to deal with a toxic person. In daily human interaction, we often find ourselves moving through various directions that shape our relationships and self-perception. It's a spectrum where individuals fall into different categories, each shedding light on different views of our interpersonal experiences. In reality, it's either you've met and dealt with a toxic person, you know you are a toxic person, or you are toxic but you don't know you are one. Are they evil by nature? Is it possible to be toxic yet you don't know you are? Do they know how much they affect people? Can they change? Should we cut them off from our lives? What if that person is your blood relative, parent, or your spouse? Should we cut them off too, or they are a special case? We all either know or have an idea of what toxic people are, but what we all don't know is the extent effect a toxic person can influence your life. We've all heard that avoiding toxic people is generally a good idea, and we agree with you to some extent. The reason why we say to an extent is because some of these peoples are directly linked to our lives, example relatives, parents, spouses, or even friends. Should we cut all of them from our lives? Or try to help those who are linked to our lives like our parents or spouses? Yes, a toxic person can turn your life upside down. Encountering someone toxic can feel like a devastating nightmare in life. Their presence alone can halt progress and block personal growth, making it hard to experience genuine love. It creates an imbalanced relationship where one person takes advantage of the other's kindness, using lies, pressure, or emotional manipulation to get their way. Constant criticism and put-downs eat away your self-esteem, leaving you feeling worthless and alone. Toxic people make you feel like you owe them something, even when they're the ones hurting you. Characteristics of a toxic person. Can people be toxic without realizing it? Absolutely. Everyone around you may see the toxicity except yourself. Not every toxic person doesn't realize they are toxic. There are others who know they are. Some are struggling to fix it, while others have accepted who they are, for they tried to change but always find themselves doing it. Here are some characteristics of a toxic person. 1. They love to rush into judging others without evidence. They tend to hastily judge others without evidence, always offering unasked opinions based on their own assumptions. Mostly their judgment projects negative towards whoever they are talking about. They just can't keep quiet and wait for the evidence to come out. They form their own made-up truth about their target. 2. They gossip a lot. They engage in frequent gossip. They love to discuss individuals with you and later conveying your conversations to them in your absence in a twisted manner. They seem unable to resist transferring information from one person to another, portraying themselves as a trustworthy friend while sharing details about others. This people will selectively screenshot of the conversations you had in private, muting their involvement, and then forward them to the subjects of discussion, fueling friction and people not talking to each other. They destroy friends and family members. As the Bible says in Proverbs 25 verses 9 to 10, if you want to tell your friends about your own problems, tell them. But don't discuss what someone told you in private. Whoever hears it will lose their respect for you and will never trust you again. 3. They are manipulative. They are skilled at using different strategies to lead and control others to serve their own interests. They tell lies, play on people's guilt, use their past mistakes, and manipulate emotions to get what they want. These individuals aren't above exploiting weaknesses, making others doubt themselves, or make others feel like they need them by controlling them to depend on their support, advice, or approval. Their manipulative tactics is mostly experienced in personal relationships or at work. 4. They always lie. In their interactions, they frequently engage in deception. Whether sharing stories about others or engaging in direct communication, they intertwine some truth with lies to paint situations to look very bad. Over time, they've perfected the flow of stories that is never entirely true until it has become second nature to them. Deception has become part of their character. 5. They are too sensitive. These kinds of people think everything revolves around them. They make people uneasy and too careful when around them. When come to any discussions that they were not physically present, they tend to think they were discussed. Their sensitivity translates jokes to be an attack against them. Every little thing has a meaning, and mostly they think that meaning is about them or it's an attack against them. 6. They are always negative. They never see anything in a positive way. They always complain. They complain about everything, they just never stop complaining. They see the world as a very bad, evil place that is there to destroy them. 7. They are too bossy. They want to be the ones controlling everything. 8. They are perfectionists. They always want things to be perfect. They often find themselves caught in a cycle of self-criticism and an overwhelming fear of failure. They impose these heavy standards not just on themselves but on everyone around them, creating an environment filled with constant dissatisfaction and criticism. Sadly, this pursuit of perfection can cast a dark shadow on relationships or at workplace, making it difficult for individuals around them to be themselves. 9. They love to keep evidence, screenshots, pictures, voice recording for the purpose of using them against those around them. They don't keep this to present in court for evidence, but to use them against those who once trusted them or those who once confided in them. Some do that so that they can control or have something against the recorded individual. How did toxic people find themselves toxic? Before we rush to cut down, demonize, and label them as naturally evil, let's take a moment to understand how they ended up in this state. Nobody is born toxic, they grow into one. So, how did they become toxic people that everybody wants to avoid? First and foremost, it's important to remember that they're not necessarily bad people at their core. Most of them are tired of how they behave, they feel the pain of rejection and how they make others suffer. Some even hate themselves for what they are. As mentioned earlier, a toxic person was not born toxic, they grew into it. Their character was shaped through their upbringing, or a past trauma like exploitation, taken advantage of, abused, or struggles with addiction. You may have escaped being toxic having experienced painful childhood or faced betrayals along the way, not because you were great at taking care of yourself, but because you had God and surrounded by religious practices, loving parents, caring relatives, good friends, or a compassionate boss. Instead of heavily condemning toxic individuals, perhaps we should express gratitude for being spared from such a fate ourselves. It's a reminder of the importance of nurturing environments and supportive relationships in steering clear of toxicity. Handling toxic behavior in relationships with empathy and patience. Understanding the origins of toxic behavior is crucial, but so is learning how to deal with it. Being around toxic individuals shouldn't be taken lightly, as their negativity can impact our lives significantly. Especially in relationships, it's important to approach them with empathy and patience, recognizing that we're all flawed and on a journey of growth. No one is perfect, and while we all have imperfections, the extent of our issues varies. It's possible that toxic individuals lacked the safeguards or support systems we had growing up, leading to their behavior. Everyone's experiences are different, and the level of security or access to help may have differed, influencing their development. Is change possible? Yes, but it starts with the toxic person recognizing their behavior and its impact. Change takes conscious effort, addressing triggers and seeking support. It's a journey, not an overnight fix. Handling toxic people. Understanding their patterns helps you manage interactions. However, your priority is protecting your own emotional well-being. Set boundaries, limit engagement if necessary, and avoid taking on the responsibility of fixing them. Conclusion: toxic relationships are draining. While we should be compassionate towards those struggling, remember that you are not obligated to endure behavior that consistently harms you. Prioritize building healthy relationships based on respect and support.